you have come to the place where you can learn to harness the power of intention, to create subconscious beliefs that serve you, and to gain insights that allow you to create a life, personally and professionally, that you desire. This is the place where you leverage your subconscious mind and design your destiny. Join me now, your host, Penny Chason. Hey, Penny Chason here. Have you ever taken a look at your money stories? Have you even heard of money stories? I certainly never thought of the things that I thought, felt, and believed about money as money stories until just a few years ago. And it's amazing how much our current reality, well, actually it's 100%, our current reality is based upon our past experience. When we're born and created into this world, we don't have any expectations. We don't have a roadmap. We don't have an outline. We come as a blank slate. It's called la tabla rasa. We're a blank slate. We become programmed by the people that we are surrounded by. And these things influence our lives. And they can influence our success, most definitely. The things that you hear from parents, from grandparents, things that you may run into as you begin to get out and work on your own may influence you. Now, some of you may be saying, well, pushing almost $1 million a year. I don't have money stories. I grew up poor and I pushed through, and here I am. Look at me now. I'm successful. But how many years did it take you to get there? Number one. And number two, how long have you been trying to push through 7 figures and you have not been able to? So again, my question is, what are your BS money stories? Because all of us have a BS money story somewhere. Even the wealthiest of people can have a BS money story. I want to give you some examples of different money stories and how they may impact you based upon what I have seen with my clients one-on-one in my workshops. The biggest, most common is you have to work hard to make good money. And you're like, well, yeah, it takes a lot of effort to build a business. How do you think I got to be so successful? But there comes a point where we have to let go of control. There comes a point where we become more successful by hiring team and allowing team to help us than continuing to do everything ourselves. I've had people reach out for help because they felt guilty if they took a day off because they had been taught that you have to work hard to get ahead, work hard to make money, or that wealthy people are bad people. So they're still working hard to try and prove they're a good person. They're not this schmuck sitting at the top with all of these people working underneath them. Well, what most people don't understand is the effort, the time, the thousands of unpaid hours that go into the building of a business. And then second, the difference between that visionary role and that creator role as opposed to having a doing role in the business. Now, you can most certainly still keep a hand in your business doing things. That's not what I'm saying, not to hand everything off. But our money stories and what people have taught us to believe about money can influence our ability to let go of control, to expand team, so that we can grow our business even bigger, because we worry what people are going to think about us because we only have a 4-day work week. Or if you're like some of these really lucky people, a 4-hour work week, and they're not lucky. They got to where they are because they did the work and they did the time. And now they're reaping the benefits of that. That's the whole point, right? So that's the first one. You have to work hard for money. The second one, this is a story I heard my entire life. You have to rob Peter to pay Paul. Every time I take one step forward, it's 2 steps back. Do you have money stories that aren't serving you? Do you have blocks around attracting abundance and you simply don't understand where they're coming from? Or perhaps you simply do not trust yourself with money? Well, I have great news for you. I have developed a very special hypnosis audio that is designed to help you to unravel and dismantle these stories and create new stories that serve you. This is more than just an audio. There's a short video that walks you through the process of how to create these new money stories. And then you have the hypnosis audio for life. And the best part is the net revenue from this audio goes to benefit Thorn. So right now, I want you to go to pennychason.com/abundance and get this in your life now. Now, for those of you who don't know, rob Peter to pay Paul means that it's kind of like an analogy if you're having to borrow out of the offering plates. You're constantly running from person to person. You're borrowing money from person A to pay person B, and then a few months later, you're borrowing money from person C to pay off person B, and you're just constantly going in a circle because you can't get ahead. That was a story I always heard from my mother. So, it became one of those things that my grandparents would try to teach me otherwise, but it became ingrained in me about debt. And my mother would always spend out of stress. And fortunately, I noticed that about her. And it's unfortunately had the opposite effect. I tend to not spend when I should spend, which is a very interesting dichotomy. I've become very good at this point about choosing where I put my investments. And I say investments because when we spend money, like in our business, then it should be an investment back into the business. But not everything that you spend on is going to be an investment. Some things you're going to be spending on pleasure, which brings me back to another BS money story. How many of you out there are mothers and you believe that you have to do without so that your children could have everything that you didn't have? So you grew up doing without, and now that you're the parent, you tell yourself you're not worthy of spending on yourself because you have to give it to your kids. It's amazing how, as women in particular, I don't think you see this as much as with men. I've never gotten this story from a man that I've worked with, and I don't think I've ever met a guy who had this story. My husband would probably laugh at me. And I think it's just because maybe it comes from a mother's instinct. I'm not sure where it comes from, but it's a wrong instinct if that's what it is. I mean, we have an instinct to provide and nurture and care for our children, but that doesn't mean monetary and physical things to our own detriment. Certainly, I would feed my children before I fed myself. But this doesn't mean that when it comes to wanting to have a nice dress or wanting to go out for dinner, that we have to heap lavish things on our children that we do without. Another BS money story is that people with money are evil, bad, or wrong. We see this all the time in society, and a lot of it, some of it, comes from misinterpretations around biblical scripture here in the South. But there's this whole other piece of it where politically it benefits the politicians to have people believe that wealthy people are the cause of their problems. When wealthy people create jobs, create opportunities, you're like, oh, well, how much money is enough? Well, how much money of that are they investing back in? And I'm not here to convince you one way or the other. There are good people who are filthy rich, And there are bad people who are filthy rich. The difference is how they show up and serve in the world, because I can tell you, I've met a lot of people who make a lot of money that do a lot of really good things with that money. And you would never know it. And the reason why is they're giving from their heart. They're not giving for attention. They're not giving to get fame or to be noticed. They're doing it because they care. The wealthy people who do really good things, a lot of them, you're not going to know they're doing it. Now, how does that affect you? Well, you may find yourself meeting resistance expanding your business, and you don't know why you're meeting this resistance. You can't understand what it's about. And then you get into doing the work and you realize it's like, well, what are people going to think of me? Well, what do you mean, what are people going to think of you? Well, if I become rich, if I'm wealthy, maybe they won't want to be my friends anymore. Maybe they'll think I've changed, I'm different, that there's something wrong with me, that I'm not a nice person anymore. If you really want to get rid of your BS money stories, first of all, you need to catch yourself if you're telling yourself in your head these stories and stop it. The other way to get rid of them is to completely rewrite these subconscious beliefs. Begin telling yourself a new story. If you need to put sticky notes on your bathroom mirror that say, I'm a money magnet and I'm a good person who does great things with my wealth. Whatever your story is, I am comfortable working less and making more. Put that money story up. Do whatever it is that you need to do to shift that money story, because it will show up as resistance in your business at some point in time if you don't deal with it. It's important to let those go. What would you like for your new money story to be? Thanks for tuning in today. I would love it if you would head over to iTunes and leave a positive review about how this episode has helped you to improve your life. When you leave a positive review, it helps us to reach even more people, helping them to change their lives. And that positive energy and vibration of sharing comes back to you as we spread the message of how you can use the power of intention, creating stronger subconscious beliefs and raising our vibration to create the life that we desire, the one that we're here to truly live so that we can fulfill our purpose in life. Once again, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.